Firstly, I'd just like to thank everyone for their time and for being here. Thanks for joining us. We've got quite a special event today. Normally on Forces Families Jobs, we tend to run our webinars ourselves. However, today we are delighted to welcome the team from Pearson Education to run and to hold an insight session where you can learn a little bit more about the opportunities that they have for military families across their workforce. Just a little bit of housekeeping first of all. Please could I ask you to keep all microphones switched off whilst you're not speaking, just so that it doesn't affect the interference in the sound. We are recording, so if you are uncomfortable with this, please make sure your cameras are switched off. We do have a Q&A session built into the presentation from the Pearson team. However, if you do have any questions, please do feel free to pop them in the chat box and then we can pose them to the team at the end of the session. So with no further ado, I'd like to hand over to Steve and the team from Pearson to tell you a little bit more about what sort of things they have on offer for you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jenna. So hi, my name's Steve Fudge. I'm one of the senior managers here at Pearson. So today's event, I'm going to introduce you to a number of different people, different roles, and what we can offer as an employer. So first I'm going to hand over to Anne Ashworth. She's going to sort of introduce Pearson and what we do. So over to you, Anne. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Steve, and welcome everyone. It's really exciting to do something like this with you. I'm actually ex-forces myself, as you can see from this interesting bio that's there. But also with my colleague Victoria, who's also on the call, we are co-chairs of our Veterans Employee Reference Group within Pearson as well. So this is really dear to our hearts. We want to encourage more people to come into Pearson, and to do that, we just want to share a bit more of who we are and what we're about. I mean, in the UK, you probably know us as BTEC and EdExcel. That's the qualifications that we offer. We also do GCSE and A-levels. But Pearson is a huge organisation, so much more than what we are known for in the UK. As you can see here, we operate in 200 countries. We've got over 20,000 people that work for us, full-time, permanent, etc., all across the world. And we're very much moving into that high-quality digital learning content. So we were known previously as a publishing company. We still do have learning resource books, but we're very much moving into that digital online learning, that bite-size learning that's very individualized and very personal. And I think what that means in terms of a culture is that if you are interested in learning, if you are interested in helping people to be the best that they can be, to aspire to move themselves forward in their life and their career and in life chances, then Pearson's a brilliant place for you. You know, everybody that joins has got some sort of connection to learning. It's what we're about. And that just makes for a really, really interesting dynamic in the business. I think next slide, please, Steve. Okay, and over to you, I think.
Yeah, thanks, Anne. So as Anne said, we operate in many, many countries. We're very much UK based. So we're gonna, if we were to introduce everybody from Pearson across the world, we probably need about 20 hours for this presentation. So we will touch a bit on international, but from a UK perspective, the type of roles that we offer both on-site as well as hybrid working and remote working roles. Some of our biggest offices are London, Manchester. We've got offices in Harlow and Oxford. We also have a processing site, which is where I'm based here in Rotherham. So we also offer some shift work and part-time hourly paid contracts at one of our business arms, which is called Pearson Vue. Again, they are both UK and international based, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while. Across Pearson, we offer apprenticeships, both on permanent and fixed term contracts. So, and that could be an apprenticeship for an existing employee who wants to further their career, or you could actually come into the business as an employee on an apprenticeship as part of that development in terms of those teams, etc. We have various levels within the business and various job roles. So you can come in working within sort of warehousing functions into data entry roles, customer service, team leader, manager, senior manager, but also specialist roles, so sort of specialism in publications or in quality assurance or finance, legal, and those type of roles, etc. So it's a huge organisation, varied roles and various different job roles and different levels. Also in the Rotherham site, and AD will talk about this in a bit more detail, but we offer quite a lot of temporary contracts. The business here is very seasonal. Obviously, exams are very seasonal, so we have peaks and troughs. So we have a lot of temporary contracts, and again, various different roles. And also, what AD is going to talk about is assessment associates. Essentially, they're the markers that we have for marking examination papers. So, as I say, it's varied roles, and we'll try and get as much detail as we can as we go through the presentation. So, in terms of the permanent roles and apprenticeships, etc., Anne's going to talk a bit about how you sort of apply within Pearson and what that process looks like. So, back over to you, Anne.
Goodness me, it's like catching a ball, and I'm useless at that. Okay, so a little bit about how we are positioning ourselves in the marketplace as an employer. Steve's mentioned apprenticeships. I actually head up the apprenticeship programme within the UK, and then we're working internationally with other apprentices in different countries. We're also working with interns as well. So we do very much around the early careers piece, but we also bring people in at various levels in the business as well. And some of the things I think that makes us hopefully attractive to you is some of the things that are in this slide. We have disability confident level 1. We do a huge amount of work around our equality, diversity and inclusivity approach within recruitment and selection. We've just gained gold for investors in people. And we're actually investigating the Invest in Apprenticeships Award as well. So we're quite keen to go for that. And one of the things that Siobhan is particularly proud of, and I totally agree, is that we actually last year came 53 in the top 100 employers of apprentices. And it's the first time we've done it. And the nice thing about it is that actually our apprentices that are voting for the programme that we've put in place. So one of the key things I think that about Pearson that makes us attractive to those of us that work there is the fact that we have voices. We can get involved in numerous things across the international business. If you've got a passion for something, then there's probably an avenue that you can explore to bring that out. And some of it is clearly demonstrated in the kite marks that we have and that we use as well. So again, because of the type of business we are, and you probably expect this because we're a FTSE 100, is that we've got a huge amount of welfare systems in place. So we've got some very flexible working patterns, and of course over this last year everything has become incredibly flexible. I think it's fair to say that as a business we're continuing in that mode, so that's quite interesting in terms of commitments and how people like to work. Very personalised. You get 25 days annual leave, but that also goes up in increments over the time that you're with us, and then we also have an option to buy and sell back as well. We've got some really good healthcare systems in place. We've got healthcare along with dental care as well that you can buy into. But we also have an employee assistance programme. We also have a really good occupational health programme as well. So there's quite a lot around everybody that makes us feel quite secure and supported. We even have a group of global mental health first aiders, coaches, mentors that operate in the business as well. So as you can see there, you've got a range of things that you can go into as options, or things that we actually have on offer anyway, regardless. And there are other things as well. So for those people that live and work in London, then we can actually do some support around an Oyster card. We have ability to help with travel as well. So there's a number of different things that are not specifically mentioned here, but are in the business as well. Okay, and in general terms, most of our vacancies are on our main Pearson website. AD and Steve will talk about ones that are on different websites as well. But here is the place to go for anything to do with Pearson PLC. And that will also give you our international jobs as well. And as I say, we operate in an awful lot of countries around the world. So I think that's, again, easy to find, fairly easy to navigate. Our new recruitment system will be coming in later in this year, and I think all of us in Pearson are going to say thank goodness. It's the one we've got at the minute is not fantastic, but don't let it put you off. There is a new one coming through, and you can always reach out if you struggle. But you'll find there all the information, and there's a drop down for interns and apprenticeships, and you'll see there any of the ones that we've got that are live. We also put our jobs out onto the Armed Forces Families website, and also a variety of other websites as well. All right, Pearson Vue. Steve touched on Pearson Vue. You might have heard of them, you might not. In the UK, they're very much known as the test centre for the driving test. And they're also doing a lot with the NHS testing at the moment, obviously for paramedics driving tests too. But the good thing about Pearson Vue is that they are literally all over the place. I think we have nearly 200 sites in the UK. They vary in size. Some of them are very small teams, so they'll be looking for part-time administrators, customer service, and they have perhaps one manager that manages the centre. Others being bigger, for example, the one in High Holborn in London, that is a big centre. That is open a lot of hours a day, so there's shift work there. And again, the job roles would be manager, team leader, customer service, administrator, that type of role. So that means that there's quite a mix of contracts. So you can do a number of hours a week over the days that fit in with the needs of that test centre as well. So quite interesting. And as you can see there, those are some of the areas where we've actually got contracts. So we do Pearson Test of English, which is language testing for people that are coming into the country. We also do testing for clinical assessment, psychometric testing, that sort of thing as well. So really quite an interesting part of our business. And you can see at the bottom is a link to their specific careers page where you can see all of their live vacancies at this time. And they also employ quite a number of former military personnel in Pearson Vue because of the flexibilities, I would suggest, and where they're based. And then here are some of our partners that we work with. As you can see there, we're really trying to be a very inclusive organisation, really keen to open up to a wider group of people that could be interested in working for us. And I hope that, again, is attractive to you. So now I think I hand over to Siobhan, don't I?
Thank you, Anne. Yes. Pearson as a business are very committed to learning and supporting that sort of staff development angle for external employers as well as internally, and we really value apprenticeships as a developmental tool. So we have about 100 apprentices internally at any one time within Pearson, and that really is a range of sort of new recruits into the business, into roles, as well as upskilling opportunities for our current staff. So we do have vacancies throughout the year, and they are publicised on our pearson.jobs website. We have an actual drop-down menu on there for interns and apprenticeships for those ring-fenced vacancies that do have the apprenticeship training attached. We've mentioned some of the different contractual types. They usually are permanent for apprenticeships. We really want to keep our talent within the business that we've supported to develop. But some are also fixed terms depending on the type of projects that the role are assigned to. And they usually range from anything from 15 months to about 3.5 to 4 years, depending on the apprenticeship. And that really is dependent on the level, and they range from level 3 up to level 7. We have some popular apprenticeships that we have vacancies for coming up at the moment in level 3 and level 4 roles. Level 3 publishing assistants is one of the popular ones that we have in terms of the number of roles and vacancies coming up. And that really is for you to get your first steps into becoming a publishing assistant, getting involved in sort of editorial work, some of the digitalisation work. We're moving from hard copy into digital content. We have content design roles where we would equip you with the skills to become a junior content producer if sort of video recording and sound production is something you might have an interest in, through to anything like sales on our account and customer service teams. So it is really worth looking out on the Pearson.jobs apprenticeship drop-down menu on our website just to see those vacancies throughout the year and not just the academic starts in September. We do pride ourselves on having a competitive salary for our apprenticeship roles. So they are very much based on the job role, and you're paid at the right level for that, as would any employee in Pearson. We usually aim to make sure that that's within sort of the London living wage in London and some of the other metropolitan areas within the UK. The great thing about apprenticeships is that you get 20% of your working contractual time towards that learning on the apprenticeship. So for a full-time employee, that is a day a week. We do have term time only positions where we acknowledge that we have schools teams that makes sense. So for you on the call, that might be attractive if you have a young family and you want to work term time only as well. Then the 20% is sort of elongated over a longer period, but you still would get the 20% commitment time to your learning. We also fund any accreditation and additional award in membership as part of the apprenticeship. So this could be something like CIPD or the Associate Project Management Team. Again, really worthwhile in terms of getting those professional memberships and widening your network of expertise in a particular area or role within Pearson. And we do have a strong support network for you if you join on the apprenticeship scheme. So Anne and myself manage that process. We manage the training providers who will take you through the learning. But we also have a value-added wraparound service to make sure that you're happy at work, having all the support that you need at work, and also that onboarding process. We can help you join a big FTSE 100 organisation that have that extra support that you might need. We have apprentice ambassadors, and we have 21 of those on the programme, a mix of current apprentices and recently completed apprentices who want to stay on in an ambassadorial capacity to help apprentices and really enrich the experience that they have while on the programme. We have dedicated mentors for you if you come on the apprenticeship, so somebody else who is there to support you through the training and also to support the endpoint assessment role and your achievement on the apprenticeship, so really achieve and excel at the best you can. And yeah, we have senior leader sponsors in the business, so the programme is really highly regarded. It's celebrated throughout the organisation. We have awards for apprentices in a celebration of success event each year. And that senior buy-in really is something that we're proud of at Pearson to showcase the value of continually training and excelling our apprentices into roles into the future. I would encourage anyone to look at Pearson.jobs and the apprenticeship. It might be something you hadn't really thought of. You might want to retrain, and this really is a good opportunity to sort of change your skills or get a position at early careers in terms of a new area of work that you might not have considered. Over to you, Steve.
Thanks, John. So we've got a couple of Pearson colleagues who are going to just talk about their working career here in Pearson, give a bit of insight as to what it's like to work for us. So the first person is Isabel Bowman. If I pass over to her. Over to you, Isabel.
Hi, thanks. Hello, everyone. So my name's, I'm known more by Izzy than Isabel. That's my just official name. And I've been working I actually work for Pearson TQ Education and Training. So we're like the work-based learning arm, and I teach personally maths, English, ICT, functional skills to soldiers as part of their apprenticeships. I've now been working for Pearson about 5 years, but have been teaching functional skills, various settings for the past 12 years. I'm no stranger to the men in green, should I say. I've been married to my man in green, who's been there for 33 years. I'm a veteran myself, spent 6 years in REME reserves. However, 30 years ago, it was very much when you got married, became pregnant, you were discharged. I didn't really want to go back in because it meant changing hat badge and losing my rank. I only made Lance Corporal, but I worked hard for that in 6 years. I just decided to concentrate on being a mum. I came into teaching really late, mainly because I was just following my husband about in his various postings, etc., bringing up the family. So it wasn't always easy to start a career. So I kind of just did this and that just to get through. The only thing I would say, as time has gone on, it's got a lot easier for service partners to get jobs, because obviously we've now got the internet, we've now got everything else, so we can look ahead to where jobs are, as in Pearson, etc., online. So we're not actually having to wait till we get into a post to try and get a job. Plus we have a lot more support within the actual armed forces like the AFF to help us out. The only thing for me is actually starting my career. I was very late getting into teaching because, you know, a lot of cases, once I got settled, it's then we were off to the next place. And it wasn't always easy with young children, husband being away, trying to put myself first. So I kind of took a back seat until I started teacher training back 12 years ago. So I actually started with Pearson in 2016. I fell on a job advert by accident. It was actually my manager at the time who saw it. She didn't really want to get rid of me, but she just thought it might be something I like, which was for functional skills tutor at Minley in Surrey. Now this actually was quite dear to my heart because at the time my husband actually started with the Royal Engineers, and my godfather also was Royal Engineers, and both had spent time at Minley, so it was quite a familiar place that I'd heard of. So what I like about Pearson was their willingness to make us start. I had to do 3 months notice, but what it did mean is when I started, I just literally jumped into it. It didn't take me long to know the role. Being with a service background actually helped things make a lot easier. So the relationships with soldiers, etc., because I kind of had some idea of what they were going through, and the jargon the army used, it did make it a lot quicker to settle in. You know, it's not always easy being an army wife, and Becky will do that. In fact, she's still moving around. I've made my husband move around now, and I'm actually managed to get our own house. And we have to be able to adapt. We have to be flexible. We have to be patient, and that's one thing that Pearson, you know, for our jobs in Pearson, it's the #1 strength we need to have, because especially in our environment when we're often working on our own, or we're in very small teams, or we're working remotely, we have to try and fit everything in around everything, which actually, being army wives, we're actually quite good at. So it has helped. For me personally, I've had a rather few torrid years with health. Nothing to do with Pearson, it's just age related. But what I have found was the benefit of that health insurance has been absolutely fantastic for me, and it's made my life so much easier. And on top of that, the support of the occupational health and the HR department have made sure that I've had a seamless thing coming back to work, etc. In my current environment, I am delivering remotely just due to a bit of ill health, and obviously we have been doing that a lot over the last few years, couple of years, and it is getting more and more. I'm normally based in the classroom, but now going to remote, which we can offer a lot more right across the country. So, you know, I'm teaching somebody from up north, we can get him into a education centre up there, or saying we're like Becky, we need somebody at Tidworth. So we all work together, and that is just how we're just very adaptable and flexible, and we actually work very well as a team, even though most of the time we only see ourselves on Zoom. So I do enjoy working for Pearson. No desire to move off anywhere else. And I'm just, you know, going to see what the future holds. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Izzy. Over to you now, Becky.
Okay. Sorry, I was about to start chatting there with my microphone off. Yeah, so hi, I'm Bex. I realised a similar story, so there might be a little bit of overlap with Izzy there. I'm a military wife or dependent, or however they like to phrase it, but married to somebody in the services. And I realised at a very young age, I'd started actually a law degree when I was at uni, and when we were courting, realised that wasn't really going to do me much favours when we were moving around a lot and different countries. We knew straight away we were going to be moving countries. I thought, well, I can't use this abroad. So I quickly switched that up to an English degree and went down the teacher route fairly early on, because I realised that you needed some sort of trades that was transferable skill wherever we might be based. And we have, for the past 24 years, been based all over the world in all manner of countries that didn't speak English. So my law degree wouldn't have done any good whatsoever, but my English did, because they're always wanting those to teach English no matter where you are in the world. So I've been really lucky. I did many years bouncing between the Army Education Centres, teaching what was basic skills and then key skills and then functional skills and English and maths, as well as primary schools and secondary schools. And then it was whilst I was based in Germany and they were talking about the drawdown in Germany and everybody rebasing, that again, I saw a little advert pop up about a position in Paderborn, and I was like, I'll tip my hat and see how I do in the interview. And I was extremely lucky. And for all I've loved working in the education centres, the move across to Pearson has been a brilliant one, because again, I've moved from Germany over to Tidworth, and then I'm literally moving next week. I'm living amongst boxes at the moment, and it's been brilliant because there was other positions within Pearson that I was then able to contact my line manager and say, you know, would I be suitable for this role, a suitable candidate? Obviously, to make sure there was equal opportunities and fairness, they put you through the interview process to make sure that all I's are dotted and T's are crossed. And I'm now moving to a more remote delivery model opposed to a classroom model. And I'll be supporting soldiers again, which will be brilliant. So I'll still see some green kit on the screen, and I'll be supporting those guys mainly around the Ripon, Harrogate and Catterick area. But again, just like Izzy was saying before, these soldiers can be from anywhere. So I was speaking with my line manager the other day. I'll still be supporting way down in Chivenor. So two opposite ends of the country, but the Chivenor soldiers can either get their exams remotely or they'll go to their nearest test centre. I'll also be working with a lot more commercial contracts as well. So it's not just military, so that's why it's quite exciting. I quite like it. I'll be working with other companies because I'm with the Pearson TQ branch of things with the work-based learning. So it's people that are the commercial contracts, they're on an apprenticeship, which are obviously different to the military apprenticeships. And it's more business administration and management and leadership style apprenticeships, but they might still need support with their English and maths and ICT. So I can support them remotely and get them prepped for their exams, which I think is brilliant that it's so mobile at the moment. And I'm very appreciative, being a military wife, that it's so easy to just move around and still work. And throughout COVID last year, everybody was sort of worrying about jobs and, oh, have we got a wage at the end of the month? And there was a lot of people that were very, very unfortunate to either lose their jobs or be furloughed or anything like that. And, you know, several members of my family were affected. And from myself and my team's point of view and my position within TQ Pearson, not one person was ever, you know, forgotten about, ever lost their job, and nobody was ever furloughed. I can't comment about Pearson worldwide, but I know from where I was, they did absolutely everything in their power to make sure that, you know, those colleagues and families were very, very well supported. Right from the onset, they were doing let's catch up on Zoom. They were doing loads of sort of mental health and support from that side of things, also support from a work side of things. You know, let's not just expect you to work remotely with and have a stab at the dark. They were, no, let's get some training immediately together, and they were very, very much on the ball with making sure that you were supported working from home. Do you need, oh shucks, do you need a mobile phone? Right, we'll get one sent out to you. Have you got the correct laptop equipment? Right, we'll get it all sent out to you. They were very, very much on the ball and supported us throughout the whole remote working period. So for myself, I thought that was absolutely brilliant, especially when I could see other family members who they were having to like quickly pick up Tesco's driving job or something to try get some money coming in, and it all went a little bit peaked on for them. So I was really appreciative that Pearson TQ was supportive in that side of things. And again, for myself, obviously I came into this job role as a teacher in teacher functional skills, but they always want to encourage you with CPD. There's CPD opportunities galore, and there's always something to jump on most weeks. But from an apprenticeship side of things, they wanted me to further progress. So as soon as I joined the team, they said, why don't you become an assessor? So I went onto an apprenticeship scheme. So I was teaching alongside being tutored and coached for customer services and business administration apprenticeships. So over in Germany, it wasn't just soldiers, it was their dependents as well. And the dependents, whoever that might be, wife or husband, they were able, even their children. So when they were 18, sometimes you have the older military children out there, they were coming onto those sort of business administration apprenticeships. And I would support them through that. I would coach them through that, as well as their English, Maths and ICT. And now obviously I've got that qualification. So that's another sort of branch to my CV, which again, thank you, TQ Pearson, it's been brilliant. So they really do like to further you and progress you where possible. And yeah, I would definitely, because of the flexibility in everything, even if it was just the fact that if you were wanting to just do 0-hour tutoring here and there, there is that option with Pearson TQ, and wherever you move around. So I from a military point of view, think it's very good place to work. Thank you.
Thanks, Becky. Appreciate that. So we're going to talk about temporary contracts here in Hellaby now. So I'm going to hand over to Adi.
Hi, afternoon, guys. I'm Adi Brown. I'm the recruitment and associate manager for Pearson. So I'll be talking about some of the temporary roles that we offer up in Hellaby, and also be talking about our associate positions that we have as well. So what do we do in Hellaby? Hellaby is our qualifications processing centre in Rotherham, just off the M18. So if you were to sit a BTEC exam, a general qualifications GCSE A-level exam, a Pearson exam, functional skills, Pearson test of English, this is where the paper will end up. So that creates a number of opportunities. Just to give you an idea of the scale of what we do here, we process about 9 million exam scripts every year, with a good old chunk of those coming in the space of 6 weeks in May and June. That's 92 million sheets of paper. I think somebody once told me if we stacked them all up, it'd be the size of the Eiffel Tower. I don't know whether that's true, Steve. It doesn't sound true, does it? But we'll go with it. Somebody told me once, so I'll repeat it anyway.
I've also heard it's as tall as Mount Everest as well. So I don't know if Everest and the Eiffel Tower are the same height.
No, very different sizes.
I've been to Paris. I've not been up Mount Everest.
So basically, take what I've just said, and we'll put that in the rubbish box. That's obviously not true at all. But 92 million sheets of paper is still a big old piece of work that we handle in Hellaby every year. So to support that, we'll issue about 1,500 temporary contracts a year to a variety of people. The bulk of those, probably about 80% of those, will come in the summer. So across May and June, we have a huge range of different people that come and work for us at that time, which I'll come on to in a second. It's a huge piece of work, but a lot of those contracts, about 20%, will run at different times of the year. So we'll have people that will come and work for us for a 3-week period just to supplement their income or their retirement, or students that might just come and work for us for some extra money during the summer. Also, we'll probably have a core of about 100 people that will spend most of the year working for us on a variety of different temporary assignments that they can work flexibly on and work around their other personal life commitments as well. So a lot of opportunities there. Next slide, please, Steve. That sounds like Chris Whitty then. So most of the contracts are about 6 to 8 weeks, typically. And so we have a number that can join up over the course of the year to give people opportunities to stay with us a little bit longer, if people wanted to. We've got some contracts as short as 3 weeks. We've got some that last 10, 11 months sometimes. So a lot of different types of opportunities. Last count, there were 237 different roles that sat within those temporary contracts. So there's opportunities there for pretty much anybody, depending on what kind of role they're looking for. Now, some of those are just general administration. Some of those are document processing, so physically handling the scripts and sorting. There's data entry roles in there, then all the way through to warehousing and forklift truck drivers, van drivers, and also a number of customer service roles as well. We've committed to all the roles as a minimum. We will pay at least whatever the National Living Wage Foundation recommended wages, which is currently £9.50 an hour. Some of those roles take on a little bit more responsibility and will pay a little bit more. And like I said, there's longer term opportunities available for people as well. Obviously, it's been a rather odd year with COVID and last year as well. So a lot of those roles haven't happened purely and simply because nobody's sitting exams. So there's no physical papers coming in. But we're expecting that to return to business as usual from the autumn and hopefully a normal exam series next year. So next slide, please. So if you want to apply for a temporary role in Hellaby, there's a separate website there that's specifically for these temporary roles, and that's there in the deck if you want it. It's a simple application form. It'll take you 10 minutes at tops. One of the team here will contact you directly and talk about what opportunities and roles we have available. We do advertise a number of different roles, but given the scope and scale of what we do, it's difficult to advertise them all. So quite often that application process is a little bit generic. So you'll go on, you'll complete the application form. It'll put you on our radar, and then we'll come to you and we'll offer suitable roles as and when they come in. There's also a contact number there if you wanted to speak to somebody in just a little bit more detail and get an idea of what opportunities we've got at any given time. One of the team will happily speak to you and give you a flavour of what we've got going off. So next slide. The other part I'm going to talk about is our associate recruitment. So we have a number. Next slide. Yep. We have a number. We have about 20,000 assessment associates that work for us. Now, as Steve said earlier, these are markers, effectively. So these mark exam scripts. Now, predominantly what we're looking for is teachers. So people who've either are teaching at the moment or have taught relatively recently in the past, so within the last few years, who are interested in becoming assessment associates for us. So the work's remote, first of all. It can be carried out, the vast majority of it can be carried out on a laptop. You can pick and choose when you do that work. There's a window in which you need to complete the work that you're assigned to, and you can tell us what sort of volume of work you're looking for. So for some people, they might want quite a bit if it's going to be a full-time thing for them. For some people, it might just be a few hours a week just to supplement their other income through education or from whatever else they're doing elsewhere. So it's very, very flexible. So it's all done remotely and it's all done on a laptop, and there's team leaders and principal examiners and people in place to provide immediate support to you as well and help with that. There's also training events as well, just to bring you up to speed on the qualifications and what you're actually assessing. So as I said, we're looking for people who are teachers there. Really, for the vast majority of the roles, or people who are currently teaching or have been teaching recently. So for those assessment associates, it's a really, really big boost, and a lot of people do it to supplement their income if they're a teacher. But also it's a huge advantage to you as a teacher, or if you work within the education sector as well, because it gives you a really good insight into how assessment works, which then is a benefit you can pass on to your students as well, because you know how papers are going to be marked and how they're going to be viewed. It can give you really good fresh ideas as well, and from collaborating with some of your colleagues, an insight into how you actually teach and approach your subject. As I said, it can boost your income as well, and it's a really good thing to have on your CV in terms of career development as well. Just to confuse things further, obviously it's a quite unique set of roles. So we have a unique recruitment team based down in London at the moment that deals with these roles. So there's a separate link there that specifically gives you information, and there's a lot of information on there as well about all the different types of assessment roles we have across our general qualifications and our vocational qualifications as well. A lot of information about how you can become an assessment associate, but also how to apply and what roles we're actually actively recruiting for at the moment as well. And that's it from me. So thank you, Steve.
Thanks, AD. Thanks very much.
No problem.
So we're going to open up for sort of Q&A right now, but before we do that, just, obviously this is just a very small piece of Pearson. It's a tiny bit of flavour of what Pearson can offer in terms of roles, etc. So what I would recommend is, if anyone is interested, go to the pearson.com corporate website. They tell you a lot more about Pearson and what we do, you know, globally, etc. And there will be links that we've shared on here, so those links will be available from that site as well. But certainly go and look on pearson.com and find out a bit more about Pearson. So so thank you everyone for who's presented. So just going to open now to any questions and answers if anyone's got any questions.
Steve, can I just ask a question directed to AD? You said about the assessment associates that you need to be a teacher and have been teaching recently. How recently do you know? It's quite a big span. So you know, what sort of time frame are you looking at for that?
It depends on the role, and it depends on
Right,
exactly
okay.
what we're doing. There is some variation across the different qualifications. For some, it probably needs to be in the last year or two. For some, it might be as much as 5 years ago.
Right, okay.
But if you can get in touch, we can. If we've got teachers that haven't taught for a while, you can get in touch, and our recruitment team will speak to you and give you a bit of a sense of what opportunities are available to you.
Brilliant, thank you.
No problem.
That's really good, thank you. There was some conversation in the chat box which Anne covered, but it was just talking about the remote working opportunities for people abroad. And it's really interesting to see the amount of opportunities that Pearson does offer overseas. And I think there's a lady looking, she's currently posted to Kuwait. So yeah, it's really interesting to see that there are opportunities literally everywhere that our audience can get involved in.
Yeah,
I think it's good to say also that we're a business that's growing. So even though we are in these countries abroad, the operations that we've got in those countries are going to change and evolve as well. So it's just keep looking at the website, keep looking at the international offer. And some of these roles will be on site, some of them will be remote, some of them are going to be hybrid. It's going to be a real mix. And I think that makes, again, works really, really well for those of you that are on the call.
Yeah, just to add on that as well, because I didn't mention in the assessment associates piece, obviously we process a lot of qualifications from overseas, so we do have a number of assessment associates in different countries all over the world. So this isn't just a UK based opportunity. There are opportunities for people all over the world as well. I'd not actually considered that, you know, being armed forces families, you might be stationed overseas. So
okay, if there's no more questions, obviously it has been recorded. So if anybody does have any questions after this, if they want to get in touch with Jenna and the team, they can pass them on to us, and we'll try and answer as best we can, as quickly as we can. So just moving on next, then I'm going to hand over to Victoria, and she's going to talk about where next and to close off the session.
Thanks, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Victoria Hayden. I'm the HR business partner for the Pearson TQ business. So Izzy and Becky, thanks very much, guys, for joining us today and talking a little bit about the TQ business. Obviously, we operate slightly differently to the main part of Pearson. So if the Pearson TQ business is something that is of interest to you, please feel free to reach out to me directly, victoria.hayden@pearson.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. I don't think there are any more Victoria Haydens. So please sort of ask any questions that you've got around that side of the business. In terms of next steps, obviously, we've said to you that all our current vacancies are always on the Pearson Jobs website. So on the screen in front of me, we've got all the different areas depending on what type of role you're looking for. But obviously, in the meantime, if there are any questions, myself and Siobhan, Steve and AD can obviously all answer those, or please go through the Forces Families Jobs team, and they can reach out to us. Thanks everyone for your time this afternoon. We hope that you found it useful. We hope that Pearson might be somewhere where you would consider looking for work. I think we've sort of demonstrated how flexible we can be in the different types of roles that we do have. And yeah, please keep in touch and sort of keep a lookout. As Anne says, the company is expanding, so there will be lots of opportunities coming up over the next few months and years. Thanks very much.